So this is what we're gonna build in this whole tutorial. We're gonna build a site where we can post, we can update the post, we can delete the post, we can view the details. Now here I can tap on the post. If I tap on the post, it'll take me to this page where I can just go ahead and give it a title. For example, the post would be about Python. For example, say Python. So I post, and there we go. I have a post about Python and it says blah blah blah. Now I can tap on update and just say, let's see the updated version. Let's see the updated version. So here we go. And if I tap on delete, it's gonna go. You see we have no Python right now. I tap on delete, and if I tap to view details, we're gonna see the specific post, the only post with its details. For example, here's the page, the post title, which is the only detail we have right now. Post title and the descriptions, or the post content, I mean. So that is what we're gonna build in this tutorial. So without any further ado, let's get started. Okay, cd storage, cd into DCIM, and I'm gonna make a folder. I'm gonna call it operations or ops, like that. So inside ops, I'm gonna call it mkdir. I forgot. Okay, mkdir ops, oops, great. I'm gonna cd into that, cd ops, very easy. So inside the folder, I'm gonna create my Django project. Now to create a Django project, obviously you must have Python installed. I'm just mentioning it for some people who don't know. So you have to have Python installed and Django installed. So you should do Python -- version to see the version of Python in your device. So I have this installed, and then you should do Django -admin, and then version -- version. This will show you the version of Django on this device. Now I have 4.2 whatever, it doesn't matter. So let's start a project. To start a project with Django, just do Django -admin, and then you start. It's a command, start project. It comes with the Django -admin utility. Okay, Django -admin, start project, and then you give your project with a name. For example, I'm gonna say, I don't know, I'm gonna say CRUD operations. Yeah, CRUD. So I'm gonna create this folder, this directory. I'm gonna create this project in this directory without a need for additional directory, additional creation of subdirectory by Django. If you don't add this period, it's gonna create a subdirectory with your project inside, which is kind of weird, but I don't like that, so I'll stick with this. So now, just like that, inside our DCIM folder in the storage, we have a project called CRUD. Okay, we have the CRUD and the manage.py. Now manage.py is just like Django -admin. We've used Django -admin to start a project. Now manage.py, you only get it when you have a Django project. This is like a Python file that you use to manage your project. And for example, let's use Python manage.py to see the commands. Okay, if you run this command, Python manage.py, you're gonna see a bunch of commands that you can use. For example, we have this one here, create super user. We're gonna use this. We're not gonna use it in this tutorial, but we use it a lot. Okay, and then we have start project. We've used this one with Django -admin. We're gonna use this one soon, start app, and then we're gonna use this one, make migrations, and there's one called run server. We should see it somewhere. Okay, it's right there, right below. Okay, now that we have a Django project, we can use the run server right away. We can just type Python manager py run server, and it will run the server and give us the address with the port number, and then we can just copy the address and paste in any browser we want, and we're gonna see that we have Django successfully installed. But you already know that if you have this thing running, alright, you have Django successfully installed. We don't want to see the default Django template for telling us we have installed it successfully. That's just kind of repetitive. It works right here, so it does work. Okay, so right now I'm gonna just create an app. I'm inside the directory where, let me show you, ls. I'm inside my project directory. Here's my project CRUD and then manager.py. Then let's make an application, Python manager.py, an app. I mean, yeah, I guess they mean the same thing. Manage.py, and then start app. You see it right there on top. Start app, and then we're gonna name the app. Let's say CRUD dash app. Makes sense, right? Okay, we cannot use a dash. I just forgot this. Let's make this one again. Python manager.py, and then create app. Start app, and then we're gonna name the app CRUD underscore app. If you do ls, you're gonna see we have another application. We have another folder or directory, which is CRUD app. We have this CRUD project and then CRUD app, and then our manager.py file. Now we have to move into our editor to start moving things up. Okay, now I'm using CRUD or CRUD, I don't know, but you can use whichever editor you prefer. Now inside CRUD you open folder, right? Okay, so you tap on this one to open a folder from your Android phone, and we have inside DCIM right here, we have a folder called ops, operations, right? We have just created this one. This is the CRUD that I demonstrated to you, so I cannot duplicate that. Okay, so I have created another one called ops, and here is the one, here's where we are. So there we go. Now inside this folder, this is our project and this is the app. Okay, so we can open the project and go into settings.py. Right beneath we can see there's somewhere called installed apps. So we have created an app, we named it CRUD app. So let's type it here, save it, then we can go back into the application CRUD app, and then we open the views.py. Okay, this is where we create our views. Now before you start creating any views, this is there's a comment that says create your views here. Okay, what are views? Okay, Django views are not really views. For example, when you say views, someone might think of something that you can actually see, right? Something that you can see, but these are not actually the views that you think. These are request handlers, right? So when somebody goes to a certain URL, a certain view attached to that URL is then called to render whatever you're gonna want to render. Okay, so now let's create, read, update, right? Update and delete. Okay, these are the 4 operations that we're gonna do. To create, we should just start creating, right? So to create, we need a phone. Now open here, and right here, these 3 dots next to your application, not next to your app, tap them and create a new file. And then I'm gonna name it forms.py. You're gonna see why in a second, because here is where we're gonna create our forms, right? So where's forms.py? Just tap and enter into forms.py. Now inside your forms.py, you're gonna need to import a few things. For example, you're gonna create a model form, for example, from, because you're gonna use forms, right? So you're gonna create from Django dot model forms, forms, import model form. Now actually I forgot, there's something when you want to create a post. For example, let's say we are doing a blog website for the sake of this tutorial. When you want to create a post, you're gonna have to make a model. So inside this models.py, inside your applications, here your app, models.py, you're gonna have to create a model. A model is simply a class, but it's a representation of the data in your database. Let's make one, for example, then class, and then we're just gonna call it post, since we're gonna do postings. So it will inherit from here, because we have this thing already imported by Django, so it's gonna inherit from this package, from that package. So we say it will inherit from models, models dot, then big M and then model, model, not models, model. Then you do your column as usual and indent it. This is where you're gonna do all of your text fields and whatever. So here I'm gonna do title, because we need title, right? Title for the post title, right? So we're gonna do from models dot char field, I believe, have char field in the models, char and then field, and then we're gonna give it a max length. You don't want to have a post that have too many characters in it. It's just weird sometimes. So max length, and we set it to a value we want. For example, I'm gonna say 30. Okay, we have a char field, a character field. It's self-explanatory. And then we're gonna do the body. Inside body, we're gonna do from models dot text field, and then just like that, we're not gonna limit how many characters you're gonna type inside your body. You can decide that by yourself. Okay. So right now we have a model, right? So we should go back to our Tarmax application, to our terminal, and then run a migration to make sure this is applied to our database, the model. But right now, before doing that, we should have to go into our admin. Right here we have admin.py. So you should go into that file and register our model. So first of all, you have to import your model before you register it. Even the admin was imported by Django, you see. Django, from Django.contrib import admin. So the admin itself was imported. So we have to import our model too. So from .models, right? So import, we have only one model, so we should import our post model. So everything is imported. Now we should register it. We should do just admin.site and then .register, and then you open parenthesis, you type the name of your model, which is in our case post. This is it. Your post model is now registered. So you can go back to your Tarmax, and here you just make migrations to apply them to the database. Okay, to prepare the migrations. Okay, so you Python manage py py make migrations, all in one letter, in one word. Make migrations. It's gonna make migrations throughout your project, and then you can see we have created. It noticed we have created one post model, right? So that is the only migration we have right here. So we're gonna do Python manage.py then migrate. This will apply them to the database, so that they will be like it'll be like a table, with the table will be like a post table, and it has a column for title and column for body, like that, you know. So let's do migrate, and we're gonna see a lot of migrations right here, because we have a Django have a set of things that it handles by itself for us. So all of those things can be seen here. For example, we have Django admin, which is a great thing that we're gonna use, but not in this tutorial. But you see, this migration was applied for Django admin, and this is for content types, and this is for authentication, and a lot of those things that were handled by Django. So this, and at last we can find our initial migration right here, right? The initial migration we've done, we've created post model. So now that we have migrated our model to our database, so we should go back into CRUD, and let's go back to views, and first of all create a view. Okay, now to create a view for our home page, we should make a function-based view. So to define a function-based view in Python, we should do diff like this one, and then we do home. So views take in parameters. Okay, the first parameter it takes is required. So we should do it takes in a request, and just leave it like that for now. It takes a second one, but we're gonna come back to that. Okay, and below this we should just return, we have our render function imported right here from the Django shortcuts. We have render, so we should return and then return render. And then what do we want to render? We want to return the request first, request. This is required, okay? I don't know why, but it's required. So, and then you type in the name of an HTML template that you want to render. For example, home.html. Now we don't have this one yet, but we will create it, okay? So there's another, we're going to type context right here, context, and then we need to define the context right here. For example, say context equals, and then you give a dictionary, Python dictionary. Oh my god. Okay, and then you do something like for example, say post, for example, and you just do post. This is the name you are giving to your key, and this is the value, is your model, right? But right now I'm gonna comment this one out. We're not gonna need it in this home. I don't think we're gonna need it, but we will need it in other views. Okay, so now we have a home view. Now we should go and create this home.html file. So inside your CRUD app, you should just tap those and create a new folder. This folder should be named, must be named templates. Okay, you name it templates, and inside templates, it's right there. Inside that template, you create a file. You should name it whatever you want. I'm gonna name it home.html because that is how I passed it right here, right? I passed it right here, home.html. So I should name it home.html because I already did. So right now I have a template. Now inside this template, let me just render something like home. And H1 says home. Oh, it says home. Right there I have an H1 that says home. Okay. Now to render this one, we need to map it to a URL, okay? Because we've just created a view and we gave it a template to render. But where we need to tell Django that whenever someone go to certain website, to certain URL, for example, if you go to www.home/home, and it will take you to our home template. So right now we have a url.py file in our Django project right here. This is our project, right? So inside the project we have a url.py file. So we should create another url.py for our application to handle the URL requests in our application. So here we should do urls.py. Now let's go into the main url.py for our project. You can see right here, this belongs to OPS. This is the folder we have created, and this is the CRUD, the main project. So this url.py is inside the main project. Okay, now here we're gonna import something called include. It's a function that we can use to include another path. Okay, so we have imported the path function is already imported for us. We should import the include function also. So now this here is a URL patterns. You have to create it has to be named exactly as is. So this one directs, if anybody who goes to admin / whatever, it should take them to the admin.site.urls. Okay, so this is where we're gonna map our URLs to our views too. We have a view, we have created a view, if you remember, so we should map it to a URL pattern right here. So we should say if anybody navigates to our home website, don't type anything in here, so that whenever somebody goes to the root of our website, we should delegate them into, this is where we use the include function. We should include our CRUD app .urls. So anybody who goes to the homepage of our website should be taken to CRUD apps, the application we have created, .urls, the URLs file we have created. So this is, we are redirecting the request to the application so that the app will handle the URL requests, not the main project. So now let's go into our application right here and the urls.py file. Now I'm gonna just copy this import statement. Okay, I'm gonna just copy, and then go back here and Control V. Okay, and then you can say URL patterns, all in lowercase. Okay, URL patterns, and then you do equals, and then you give it a list. Okay, inside this list you set your path. Now whoever goes to this URL should be taken to home should be taken to home. Okay, this is a view, right? We have created the home view right here. We have created the home view in our views.py file. We should import the views.py file right here. Well, we're gonna do that right now, but let's finish up setting up the URL. Now whoever goes to this URL should be taken to our home view, and the home view will take care of rendering the home.html file, remember? So that is it. So now let's give it a name. This is kind of important sometimes. Most of the times it's important. So you give it a name, and we're gonna call it home, just like that. Now whoever goes to this path should be taken to our home. Okay, let's import the views from .views, which means from the views file and the current directory. Period means current directory, and in the current directory there's a views file. So we are saying from the views file that is in the current directory, we should import our view, right? So we should import the view, the home view. But I'm not gonna import the home view. Actually, I'm gonna import everything, so that next time when I create the home view, the create view and the update view and the delete view, I don't have to manually import them one by one. I have done this already, so I just do import everything. Import star means import everything. So I can use the view right here without specifying dot views. For example, if I did if I import views, I have to do views.home, which is kind of repetitive. So this is the better approach for me. Now that I have this set up, now let's do Python manager.py run server. Okay, I have an invalid syntax because I forgot to type the import keyword. So now let's do that. From the views import. Now that should fix the error. Okay, import everything. Now the server is reloading, and see, it's finished reloading. So now let's tap or copy the address, I think, and then go to more and select URL, and then you just press. You don't have to have your internet connection enabled. Okay, so you can see I have written home in my home view, in my home template. Okay, let's quickly recap what we have done up to this point so that people won't get confused. First of all, I have created an application, an app, and then I registered it inside the settings.py file. I registered the app here, CRUD app right here, and then into my models.py file, and I've created a post model, and then I went to my terminal and make migrations and then apply the migrations, and then I came back to create a view, right? And I created a view. I created my home view so that we should have something to render, to display on the home page. So I created the home view, and after creating the home view, I then created the home template inside the application. Inside the templates folder, I created the home template, and which inside it I just rendered home. For example, is where we belong. To save this, you go there, a refresh, you're gonna see home is where we belong. So we went into the urls.py file and tell Django that whoever goes to this URL, which is an empty URL, take them to our CRUD application, and inside the CRUD application take them to our urls.py file. But you don't have to type the urls.py, you just have to type URLs, right? So, and inside the urls.py we have imported the views function, the views file. From the views file of the application of the app, we have imported everything, and the only thing we have inside there is one view, which is the home view. So this home view, we have given it a name, and we say whoever goes to this path should be taken to this home view, and this home view is what returns. This home view is what returns. If you don't forget, it's what returns this home.html. This home.html is returned because we have it in the templates folder, and Django automatically detects a folder, any folder named templates. By default, Django detects that folder, and whenever you say render it, it will render whatever file you have given it inside that templates folder. Okay, so we don't have to do anything to set that thing up. So that is that about what we have done so far. Okay, we should go to our models. Inside the models we have the post model. We have created this already. So the next thing we need after this model, already have our migrations, so we don't need to redo that. So we should go to views.py file and then create a view for this post. So in our app, in our CRUD app right here, inside it we have this views.py file. So let's go in there. Okay, inside this views.py file we have our home view. We have created the home view, remember. So in this home view we just return the home.html file, the home.html template here. So now what we're gonna do is, let's first of all create the view for our posts. So right below we should do something like def to define, just like this, the home view should define create, since we're create post underscore post. So now this one should also take a request, because we're requesting obviously, and then that's the only parameter I think. So below that we should fetch our form, okay, because to create a post you need some kind of form that you're going to fill in and then you post the data, right? So I believe we have created a form from forms.py file right here. We have this forms.py file, so we should go in there, and we don't have any form right now. We should create a form that we're gonna render whenever somebody goes to create post. So it should be in the create post.html file. So anybody who goes to create post.html will see a form displayed to him or to whatever. So now we need to create a form for post. So remember, in our models.py we have created a model. This model we have created a post model. So in the forms.py we should import that. So we should do from dot models import. So we should import our post model post. So we have imported the model form on top. So that is what we're gonna use right here. So you write a class like this, class, and its name is post or post form, whatever. I think let's make it a post form. Okay, and then it should inherit from model form. Model forms are just easier to use, but they are just forms, not model form. But we're gonna stick to model forms right here. So we should give it a class. Again, inside the class we should give it a class of meta. This meta just means information, right? Everybody knows that. I think meta is just a piece of information. So let's do class class meta, and then we should do like this. So here we're gonna tell this form that from which model are we fetching the fields we're gonna define here. So the model will be our post model, right? So we're gonna do model equals post, because we have imported it on top, right? We have imported it right here. Let me show you. We have imported this right here from models. So we're telling this post form and its meta that the data we are fetching is from this model, right? Which is the post model. Great, I think that is understood. So now inside the fields, we're going to define which fields we want to take from that model. For example, let's do fields, and then which the equal sign, and then this So inside here we're going to define which fields we want from that post model. So let's go into the models.py file, and we still have only two fields right here. We have the title, which is a character field, and it has a maximum length of 30, and then we have the body, which is also a text field but no max length, right? We should just use these two right now. So inside the forms.py file we should type in those in string. We should say we have title, and then below that we should have our body like like this. Body. So great. Now our form is ready and we can use it in the views.py file. So here, when we're creating the view, we have defined a function and it's named create post, and it takes in a request because we're requesting something, right? So right in the indentation, we should fetch that form from from forms.py. Now let's make sure that we have forms.py imported. Right on top, we should do from dot forms, because the forms.py file is in the current folder, so that is why we are importing it with this dot. This dot means from the current directory. In the current directory we have this file, so from the current directory, from the forms.py file in this current directory, we should import. Okay, let's do import our post form. I believe we called it post form. Yeah, post form. So we should import that in the views post and then form, like that. So when creating the post, we should give it a form, right? So our form should be a variable that takes our post form post form right there, and we should call it, I forgot, it's a class, right? So we should call it. So now it's right now an empty form that we are creating, right? So let's proceed. So now we should check if the method of the form, for example, if, let me write the line of the code, then I should explain. If request dot method equals post, so equals, I told you in Python, equals sign means double equals, right? You should have to type this. This is not assignment operator, this is the equals sign. So if request dot method equals post like this, I believe that. Like this. So we are writing an if statement to check if the method of the request is equals to post. We have various types of request. We have post request, there's a get request, there's a delete request. There are many types of requests, I believe 4 or 5, I don't know, but right now we're checking if the request method, if the HTTP request method is post, so we should do something. So right now, if the method is post, we should post the form, right? So we should do form, not from, it's form. So we're taking the form right here from up and we're posting it equals to post form, just like before, but right now we should type inside this request dot post. So that's it for now, and then we should check again if the form is valid. If form dot is valid, if the data passed inside the form is valid data, what you are expecting to receive, then we should call this. Then what should we do? And then we do form dot save, like this. So if the form is valid, we check if the form is valid, we save it. So we should return, in our case we should return redirect, and then where should we redirect? The user should be redirected to home page. So in that case we should do just a slash. So after you click on submit in your create for post, Django would check if your form is valid, and then it will save it and then return to home page. Okay, so we have so many if statements. So by coming back here, it means this form, this data that I'm gonna pass in should be returned even if this if statement is false. Okay, even if it's not true, but because I am defining it right here, I'm setting up the things under this if statement. So if the form is post regardless of this if statement, what I'm going to type right now is going to be implemented. Okay, so now I should create a context. Okay, and then it's a dictionary, and this dictionary we should give it a name of the key we are storing, and then the value would be our form. Okay, so this is the name we've given to the key, okay, in the dictionary, and the value is this form right here, or this one right here. So we're just gonna return that, okay, or we're gonna post that or return that, whatever, you just got it. So we should return regardless of the if of the second if statement. This will always be returned. Okay, now we should return the render, and we should render our post.html and the context. And this takes in request first, so request, and then comma, post.html, and then our context dictionary. So we should do context like this. So now we are using a redirect function or redirect whatever right here, and this has to be imported on the top. So we should go somewhere like here. So right here we import the redirect. So now we should route it to a URL. Okay, so let's go to urls.py right here. So now we should go to the urls py of our application, of our app, right? This is our CRUD app, right? So inside CRUD app we should go to urls.py. Now I have urls.py right there. So inside here we should type the path. So we should do create. This is the path that we are going to go to create the post. Create post. Whoever goes to this post should be we have a view for that, the create post view, right here. And the views, we called the view, see, we called it create post right here. So I should copy this, okay, and then just Control V. Yeah. So this view is attached to this URL, and then you just give it the create post name, right? So create post to be consistent. Yeah. So whoever goes to this path should be taken to our create post view, where in our create post view we have returned this form right here in the post.html, right? So now we should create a template, that the post.html template. So inside our templates folder, of the CRUD app, we should create a new file. This file should be named post.html or create post.html, but it doesn't matter. I'm gonna create it as post.html. Now inside this we should write our form, right? So now I should do something like an exclamation point, and then like this. Great. So let's call this title CRUD, and then inside body I'm going to create a form. Okay, so let's do form, form, and then the action for this form is, we're not going to define any action, we're just going to give it a method. So method, the method for this is post, right? It's because we're posting something, so it should be post method, and inside this method we want to render the form we have created in our view, in our forms.py file, right? And we have imported it and used it in our view, and in the view here we have imported the post form right on top, and below we have written the create post view, where we have used the form and we have used the form as a variable, and then we take that variable, input it in our context. Now with this context, we can use this in the form.html file, right? So we don't have to import anything in the post.html directly. We can just use the form right here, and we're gonna import it dynamically because we have it in the context. Okay, so we can do something like this is a way to import something, to put something dynamically in Django. So we should do form dot as p as in as paragraphs, right? So this one right here should work just like this, but even without this dot as p, but it's just better with as paragraph instead of the default Django way of displaying things up. So let's add the CSRF token. Inside here, this is just required CSRF and token, like token. This is required for security purposes in Django. I don't know why, but it is required. Now, how do we submit this form? We should add a submit input field. So we should do input, and then the type should be submit, and the value also should be submit or post. Let's say the value should be post, because we're posting, right? So let's see what we have done so far, if we're ready to start posting. Okay, now we have created the view to post, right? Inside the post, we're given a form where if we fill that form and we hit this post, this submit, it's gonna be posted in our home.html. Now the only thing we need to do right now is to display the form in the home.html. So inside this home.html, I'm gonna just delete all of this. With the HTML boilerplate, let's do like this, and there we go. So we give it a title, for example, let's say CRUD. Okay, and then right here, this is where we're gonna display our post. So in here we write a for loop. Now in Django, in order to write a for loop, you need a pair of these ones like this. Okay, and you write the for loop for post in posts, right? Posts, yeah, for post in posts. So let's end the for loop, because in Python you don't have to end any for loop, but right here you do need to do that. So end for. That is the Django way of doing for loops. Now we're just saying for post in posts, right? So where do we have these posts, right? This is the question. So the posts are in the context that we passed into the HTML template. So right here in our views.py file, we have this home.html, right? So right there we define the post or posts. So we say posts equals, and then we take our post model, post, and then dot objects dot all. This is a way to fetch all the posts we have. Okay, so right in this context, we then say context equals posts, this posts that we defined right there, and then we give it the posts. So the first key is the name. The first one is the key, which is the name, and the posts is what we define right on top. Okay, so every model has this object. It's automatically like that. When you create a model, it already has this dot object, that when you do your model dot object dot whatever, you can access a lot of these with your model that you've created by yourself. With Django, it's that. Okay, with Django comes that. Okay, so right here we have our posts. So right now we can use them in our home.html because we have we have the posts defined in the home view, right? And we have passed the context. Okay, we haven't, so let's do that. Let's pass in the context right in the return statement. So right now we are free to use that in the home.html. Now let's get back to the home.html. Now for post in posts, right? So we just render the post. Now we have only two things, okay? To dynamically do that, render that, we should do post dot I think it's post dot title, not name, right? We said a title and body. So post dot title and post dot body. Post dot body. Now in order to make sure that one is on top and one is below, I should make a break right here. So that is all we need. Now if we test this thing out, we're gonna see our post. We should see our post in the home.html. Now right here in my terminal, in the folder that I've created my project, so I should run the server. So I should do python manage dot py run server. Yeah. Okay, I have an error that says post form. Okay, it cannot import the name post form. So let's check the forms.py file, see if there's any problem. Post form. Okay, here's it. Python is case sensitive, so I typed a lowercase f here, and this should fix my problem. Right now it aligned with this in the views.py file. Right here it aligns with this one. Yeah, now it has reloaded already, so I can use it right now. So now here I should paste the thing I've copied. Now paste, and then okay, I sense some problem. It said name error, post is not defined. Okay, let's see why. Okay, in our views.py file we should have imported the post model right on top. Let me see. Okay, we have not imported. Now with this import statement from .models import post, we should have no problem with the post saying post is not defined. So let's go back and see. Now if we refresh, we see nothing because we have nothing in the home page, right? So I think we should go and make a post, right? So we should go to create post. Let me see the URL to the create post page. Now the home page is empty. If we click on the link, then we copy the link and then we paste it into the search bar, and then we add create post. Should add create and then post. It should take us to the page where we can create a post. Alright, so now we have the create post. Now we should give it a title. For example, let's say what should be the title? Let's say Django. I don't know, but Django. So the body should be as usual. And then I don't know why this is an input field. Oh my god. Okay, let's check what is the problem. If we go to our post.html template, I think here's the input field. So okay, the type should be submit, not submin. It's submit. Okay, now I have a working form, so I can give it a title again because I refreshed. So I can say the name is Django, and then I can do blah blah as usual. Now if I hit post, now we are in the home.html and we have one post that says blah blah. Okay, I can come back here and clarify things a little bit and say something like an h1, and it says home page. Okay, and then in home page I can add a link. Okay, now let's do br, another one, yet another one. Okay, and then right here I can add a link that says, okay, let's do the link. No, a link that goes to, this is a way to link of things in Django. So let's say create a post. Oh, post, just post. Post. Here you type the URL that you want your link to go. So you should type a view right here. I want it to go to my create post view. Okay, now if you hit reload, yeah, you should see homepage and Django your post. Okay, this post, the post title should be bold, right? So let's make that. So we can come back here and say the post the post title should have an h1, say h1, and this h1 should wrap it around. Oh yeah, so it doesn't matter. Let's add another h1, and this one should close things up. If we refresh here, we see the Django title very bold right there, and then we can tap on the post to see the home, the post page, create post page, and we can create another post. We can say another post. Yeah. And if we hit post, we're gonna see another post that says blah 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 blah. So now we are done with the create, whatever. We're done with the create. So now to the retrieve, right? So let's go into our views to create a view for our retrieve. For example, to fetch a specific item right here. So right here we define another view. Okay, like this. We do def as usual, and then we can just call it retrieve post. Okay, retrieve, and right there we do post. So this also takes in a request, because we should request. This is required already known. So, and then this takes in a second parameter, and the second parameter is the PK. Right there, we call it PK. Now when you run a migration or something like that in your database, let me go into this initial.py. Right here we see we have a field right here called an ID. So this is actually kind of we haven't added this ID field, but it is added to us by Django, because it's just every post must have an ID. ID is just a unique identifier that can be used to reference specific posts. So right here, specific items, yeah. So right here we pass in that PK, which means the ID. Okay, I hope that is clear. Okay, right underneath we then fetch the post that we wanna retrieve, right? So we do post, we give it we define a variable that says post, and then right here we type in our post model. We have a post model, remember, and then dot objects. I told you this dot objects is always available when you have a model. Every Django model has this dot object. You don't have to write this on your own. It is available for you as soon as you have a model. Okay, so and this dot objects has its own methods as well. One of them is the dot all, which we have used right here above. I think we've used it somewhere. Yeah, we've used it to list out all of the posts in our home page. So right here we can use another method of dot objects, which is dot get, to get a specific post, and then we pass in the primary key of the post. Okay, we can optionally say, because this right here we are just passing in something. We don't Django still doesn't know what this PK is. You have to tell it this is like a name you're giving to the PK. Okay, for example, I can name it ID if I want. Okay, and then I can write in here, I can say ID, that is the name I have given, and then I can tell Django that the PK it knows means this ID. So like this ID that I pass in right there is the same thing as this PK that Django knows already. I think that should simplify things a little bit. So right there we then give it a context, because we have to retrieve the post in our HTML template, right? We have to have a link in our HTML template that when you click, it's gonna take you to a retrieve page, right? So you're gonna see a specific details about a specific post. So right here we give it context. We say context right here is the post that we defined right there, the post variable. So this is just a name, right? You already know that it's a name, and this is the variable right there. So, and then we can use this context in our template if we pass it in below. So we're gonna do return as usual, return, and then render, the render function, return render, and then pass in this, and then the request. It takes in the request and our HTML template, which we can pass it right here. We're gonna call it retrieve post, yeah, retrieve post.html, I think so. And then we pass in the context. Right now we have a view for fetching a specific post, right? So let's go and make this template. Right in our templates, we should do a new file. We called it retrieve post .html right there. So inside this retrieve.html, we just pass in the details we want about the post. So for example, I can just pass in an h3 that says, for example, the post title. This is a way to dynamically render things in Django. Remember, I tell you this. So we should do post. We're now fetching the variable we have defined in our context, the key, the value of the key in our context, and the value we have passed in the variable we have defined in the view right there. I'm gonna go back to the views.py file. Now in the retrieve post view, we have defined a variable right here, and this variable represents our post model. In our post model, we get a specific post by its ID, and then we pass this variable, that text in the post, into the context dictionary, and this context dictionary we give a name to the post. So now the post, the name right here is the post, the post right here is the name, which is the key, and the value here is our post variable we've defined on top. So in our HTML template retrieve post, we're using that the key in our dictionary, right? So post dot title, because in our model we have a title for the post, right? And then post the body. Right there we have fetched the body of the post. So I think that should be it. Okay, we should add a link. We should add a link to the homepage. So right here I made a mistake. I said URLs. It's just URL. So we are done with the retrieve post.html template. So we should get back to our urls.py to route to these template. So let's go to urls.py right here. Right here I'm going to define a path. I'm going to give it a route. So the route should be, okay, single quotes. Whoever goes to retrieve post, and then you end it with a / I forgot to do that. Here also you should always end your routes with a / it's a best practice. You know, you cannot do you can choose to not do this, but it's better when you do it. So you give it your view that you have created, which is the retrieve post view, and then I think you give it a name. Yeah, you give it a name, and the name should be your retrieve post. So this will not work really, because it's you want to retrieve or to fetch a specific post, and right now you're not defining that anywhere here. So to do that, you should just come here and type this, and inside them say int. I'm gonna explain when I finish typing, and then you do ID. Then you close your route with a /. So here you're saying that whoever goes to retrieve post / an integer with the ID, which is your ID field for the model for the post. Every post has an ID that is used by Django to identify a specific item, and so you are using this smart routing way to fetch that specific ID, which is an integer. You're just saying here that it's an integer, right? This should expect an ID of type integer. Every ID should be integer, right? So I think this should work right here. So in our views, I think we're done with this. So we should just go to the home.html and add a link to update post. So right here under the post, we can just add a link that says update, an anchor tag, and then you should give it a URL. This should go to our view, right? Our retrieve post view. Retrieve post. Now this retrieve post expects an integer, which is our post.id. So you should just do post.id. Okay, I think this should do it. So let's get back to our retrieve post. Yeah, save everything, make sure everything is saved. URL.py is save. So right here in our terminal we see an arrow that says retrieve post is not defined. Our view is not defined. So let's get back to our view URL.py and check why retrieve post is not defined. Okay, we have imported everything from the views.py. Let me see why retrieve post is not defined. Yeah, this is the problem right here. So this should fix the is not defined error. So let's, okay, we should fix this in our template as well. I think our template retrieve post.html. Okay, and right here we've defined our view in another view. So let's get it out of there here. So this should fix. Okay, right now our server has already reloaded, so let's check things out. Now if you come here and refresh, you're gonna see we have a link. Okay, we have another misspelled arrow. Let's go and fix that. Now right here is the arrow is in our home.html where we have added a link to the retrieve post. So right here we forgot an E. So this should fix our problem. We have an error in our routing. So let's get back to our HTML template and see what's going on. The reason we had a problem before was because we have placed the link outside of our for loop. So let me show you. Now here in the home.html template, this link was outside of our for loop, like this. I moved it outside of the for loop, and if I go back to the browser right now, we're gonna get an error again. We get a no reverse error because it cannot find which post to update or to retrieve, I mean. So this is why we get that error. So now if we go back and take the link and put it inside the for loop right there, we're gonna see we don't have an error again. So let's get back there. So we take this link, or we do just like this, and it's back into the for loop. So you can go back and refresh right now. And before we go back and refresh, we're gonna see that we wouldn't see the link on the home page if it refreshed, because there isn't a text in the link. So let's say details, something like that. And if we head back right now, we're gonna see the link. So we can come here and refresh, and we see our homepage and the details link right there. So and we can touch on the link to see the details about a specific post, and we have a link that goes back to the homepage. Now if I touch the link to another post, the details link, I'm going to see the specific post right there. Now we are done with the retrieve. We can go and create the update. Now for the most part, the reason why I have created the create post and the retrieve post functionalities first is because most of the things we're gonna do in the update and the delete are just repetitive, we're just kind of repeating the things and adding and fixing a little bit of the things out. So I'm just gonna be copying and pasting, just showing you the update and the delete, how they look. Okay, so right now if we go to the views.py file, right here in the views.py file we have the update post. I have just written this when I had the arrow. So in the update post, it's kind of the same as the retrieve post and the create post. The only difference is that in the update post view, we have defined the view right here. It takes a request, an ID, and then we give it a variable that takes our post model, and then we get a specific ID from that a specific first post with a specific ID, and then we give it a form, an empty form in our create view. But in this update view, we fill the form with the populated data that was in the form before, which is this instance equals this post. So, and we then again check if the request method is post. We then post the data with the instance post again, and if the form is valid, we save it and return to the home page. And we have the context and the return statement for our update post.html template. I have created this one right here. I have the update post.html, and I think that's it. So we should give it a route in our urls.py. urls.py. Okay, we have created a view and we give it a route. Now we're saying that whoever goes to the update post with a specific ID should be taken to our update post view with a name of update post. So right now if we go to the home.html or post, home.html, and add a link below, I'm gonna just paste this thing. We have, it's just the same as the retrieve, except that this one is update post view, and the ID is the same thing, right? It's just the same way. So we go back and we're gonna see the update post link. Now if we come back here and refresh, we're gonna see we have an update post right there, and you can tap on here and fill in the form with something like something you want to update it with, and you post. You're gonna see the updated version of your post. So right there. And now to the delete. Now for our delete functionality, we're gonna just create a view right here. We create a view, we fetch a specific post, we delete it. That's it, and we return and redirect to the home page. So I think this is clear because we've just repeated a lot of the things right there. We give whoever goes to the delete post should be taken to whoever goes to the delete post with a specific ID should be taken to our delete view we've created right there, the delete view. So who should be taken to our delete view and with a name of delete. So in our home.html we can just add a link like the update. I copied this one and I'm gonna just edit it. Instead of update post, this one should go to the delete view or delete URL name. Delete and say delete right there. And I think we're done with the delete functionality too. So we can go back to our browser and check. Now here if we refresh, we should see our delete post link. So right here we have a delete. Now if I touch on delete, we're not gonna see this Django post anymore. So I'm gonna delete it. Right there, it's gone. You can create another post. We can just say Python PowerShell, and we say, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up and some love and some star, I don't know, kisses and everything, and we post it. Now we can see Python PowerShell. We can update, we can delete, and we can do a lot of the things we want with this. This is the CRUD operations with Python and Django. Thank you for watching up to this point, and I'll see you in the next video.